Good day, everybody. How's it going? Well, this is a very quick video on, as I said, it's a spoopy month, and unfortunately, things are getting a bit too scary out there for the North Carolina area. For those of you who haven't heard, there was a major weather event. Has a hurricane that has had apparently now the most casualties we've had since Hurricane Katrina back in the Bush era, back in the old year, was it 2005 or 2006. All I remember was Kanye saying Bush don't care about, his people. That's what I remember about the situation. But also there was a lot of levee breakage. A lot of people lost their lives. It was a very, very tragic situation in New Orleans. But, they're a coastal town and, they're in the Gulf. So hurricanes, they happen every once in a while. And, as tragic as it is, it's something that that region sort of is prepared for. Particularly in their, it's a swampy area. They're used to getting a bit of humidity, a bit of rain, and even such major things such as that. What is not used to that is lower Appalachia, which is where this particular hurricane decided to go right up underneath Florida, right behind it. So if Florida's over here, and then the hurricane just went right up behind Florida and went right up into the mountains. Landed as a Category 4. I think it still had Category 2-ish forces by the time it reached, western North Carolina. And a furry convention apparently had to end up canceling its doors because of it, because they were supposed to happen this weekend. And that furry convention is called Carolina Furfest, I believe it's called. Is it called Fur Fair? Carolina Fur Fair. My apologies. I think Furfest is actually trademarked to Midwest Furfest, and so any affiliated conventions, just in case you're worried, just in case you are going to be naming any future conventions out there in the world. Just remember, Furfest is pretty much trademarked. I think some other conventions have tried to use Furfest and basically got nailed on the head by that the Midwest Anthro organization that is in charge of that trademark. So just be aware. Taking advantage of my flub here, because I really haven't heard of Carolina Fur Fair. This is the first year I've actually heard about it. Because it is a quote unquote new convention. This is the first time it's run under this name. And it is Halloween and it is October. So this is the month of curses. And we're going to go over how this sort of convention has been sort of cursed in a bit. But unfortunately for this year, they are not going to be holding services. But not for anything that any furries have done, but because of Helene being a bit too strong of a hurricane. The theme for Carolina Fur Fair was supposed to be medieval, being medieval and stuff like that. And Helene, unfortunately, came in a little too early and a little too hard and went a little medieval on the region. So what happened here is that the convention will be obviously not holding their festivities this year, and they mention here in the thing, and you can find the full thing in the link in the description, going over what the reasoning is, and it's obviously that the hotels in the area, obviously do not, are needed by other services and other folks. Rather than furry festivities and celebration, the weather and the nature of the situation has brought to bear that people who are responding to the hurricane, who are helping, the citizens in the area get back on their feet and get back to their lives, and also the citizens themselves who find themselves without a home due to the flood devastated homes, landslides, and other things that have occurred in that region. So basically that means that there's not going to be any fur fun to go around this weekend. It'll be for those people who are doing that great service, to the folks in that area that need it. And, I'm grateful that, that the hotel seems to be a bit understanding at this point, that, they're you know, in contract terms, this is the true unforced majeure. This is the true situation where, like, a person who is, setting up a convention or things like that, usually you can't really easily cancel or uncancel something. And this was a big thing during the COVID times about, like, why can't you just cancel, and why can't you just move the dates, and why can't you just, because once you have a contract in place, right, things are pretty much set in stone, and it's hard to move those things, other factors set aside. And many contracts and many things like that have a thing called enforced majeure, which is basically like, it's literally an act of God is the sort of translation of that. It's a major event that basically prevents a situation from happening. So this is definitely this is the one true case in which this seems to be happening. But it's on, I think the hotel is the one that came forward with it. This says in the letter here that the convention contacted the hotels and says, are we still on, or you guys need, your resources for other matters? And indeed, they needed their resources for these other matters. So in the letter, they state that the people who are attending, can currently push forward their registration to next year's Carolina Fur Fair or their sort of sister convention, Bewhiskered of 2025. So currently they don't indicate anything about refunds, but obviously there is a contact there for, like, there's an email if you are, we're going to be attending it, and obviously you can use that email for any further questions and things like that, or reply to them on Twitter, and then they can tell you, or X, I'm sorry, the website formerly known as Twitter. Okay, the website formerly known as Twitter. You can go there and ask them online, and they'll say, hey, contact, send it to the email, so we can keep it all organized. Furries, not everything needs to be done in public. Come on now, take it to the red room. I mean the mail. But hopefully there's a lot of a lot of issues going on down there right now. A lot of it was really not something that that area is used to. So it does hit a little bit different. It'd be like, Florida getting a blizzard. It's like something that's very unusual, very strange. And, like, I know a lot of Northeasterners point at, like, the South when they get a little snow, and they're like, oh, how come they not drive in the snow? It's like, because A, you're used to it, and B, like, we have the resources that are, like, because it's a common thing for our environment. So we have the resources to deal with that kind of a thing. Flooding from a hurricane, I don't think, is a major thing that, that region is really prepared for. Maybe some nor'easter, a little bit of blustery nor'easter-ish kind of thing, like maybe a light bit about that because it's in the mountains. But, hopefully those folks will make it out all right. I guess the last thing I should say is that on this situation is the internet's predictable and a bit shallow sometimes. So I'm going to make a guess that when I put up this headline that a furry convention was canceled or something like that, or had to be put on hold or postponed, like, there's going to be some jester out there who thinks it's pretty funny, going like, see, God hates the furries. He sent a hurricane to stop their convention or some nonsense like that. And it's like, nah, like, I'm just... This hurricane was very deadly. 200 lives have been lost around that area, and, like, they're still not through it, right? There's still people without power and without water. Some of them are furries. There's a furry artist named Rookie online who lives in that area, who's basically living, cleaning up their own residence, and, without power and without water. It's a very serious situation. So if somebody makes a comment like that, go ahead and timestamp this thing to this thing below and say, like, nah, like, not great. Like, God wants to cancel a furry convention. Just, like, cancel the furry convention. Like, leave normal humans out of it, right? Like, they're just trying to live their lives, man. Very imprecise, right? It's very imprecise. Just like there's more important things in certain times than furry conventions. Going back, the curse thing. that I said earlier that this convention's kind of cursed since it's Halloween. So as I said, I did not recognize the name Carolina Fur Fair, and I said it's their pilot year under that name. But it's important to say that it's under that name that it's their pilot year. They actually have been a convention for a bit, run by the same folk in that area, but they used to be called something different. They used to be called Blue Ridge Fur Fair, and they used to hold the convention in Asheville, Asheville is the town that has been, for this particular hurricane, has been the town that the city, the town that a lot of people have, like, that has been the most like hit, like the thing that took it right on the nose as far as devastation and damages go. But it was called Blue Ridge Furfest, or Blue Ridge. Was it FurCon? Blue Ridge. It's the Blue Ridge FurCon. And the situation with that, and the interesting thing about Blue Ridge FurCon is that its premiere year was 2020, and everyone knows what happened on 2020. But here's the thing: they held their services, they held their in-person convention that year on April, like mid-March. Basically before everything got shut down for COVID. It's like the end of March, everything shut down for COVID. Like February is when the end of February is when the market reacted, and like everybody's like, is this thing going to be a really big deal or not? I actually went to Furthermore that year in Washington, D.C., and that was like the first weekend of March, where Blue Ridge was the second weekend. And Blue Ridge is known as, like, it was known as the furry convention, like the last in-person furry convention that was probably held more than likely before everything basically shut down for the pandemic. And I don't know why they changed their name. It looked like they held an in-person one in 2020, and then like they, obviously we had to do virtual in 2021, and then in 2022, I think they tried to hold it back in person again. But then in 2023, they had to go virtual again for whatever reason. And I don't know if like them fell through with the hotel or something. But something happened in 2023 where they couldn't hold an in-person thing either. See the wiki, there's going to be a wiki for, if you go to wiki for and look up Blue Ridge, you'll probably find the information on that. And now this is just another year in a row where something weird and different happened. Like they can't get their foot on the ground. I mean, there's obviously more, like there's obviously more difficult things, but if there's any convention where who the staff deserve your love and respect right now, it is definitely the Carolina, the one from Carolina there, because man, they are. They have not had a single stable year. This Carolina Fur Fair, they have not had a stable year since their inception. Something always different. I think the only one I can think of that I think had a worse curse, or is probably worse for wear as far as like history of unfortunate events, is I think there was a furry convention in Ukraine. And I think that in 2014, like I think they had to stop because they had to stop, not hold the furry convention because of Crimea. And then basically, after that, it was like there was sometimes they were able to, sometimes they weren't because of political unrest, influenced by some outside forces. Who knows where that's coming from? But obviously, like, Ukraine's in the middle of something a little bit since 2022. So yeah, basically, Carolina's had a Carolina Fur Fair, Blue Ridge, the Blue Ridge Fur Meet, like, they've had a rough go of it. And I hope that things will stabilize for them soon. And I hope the people in that area get their feet back on the ground so that they can rebuild. And it's one of those weather events that the area is never going to be the same. There's going to be areas that are scarred for a while, if not like never recover, basically, because washed out roads. Like is it worth, rebuilding certain roads in certain places? There's going to be scars like there is in most major weather events like that serve as the reminder to the situation. Hopefully we never run out of names for hurricanes. Seems like every year there's at least one name that gets retired these days. Anyways, that's enough for rambling. Hopefully the people there will get better, and hopefully the people, and I'm very thankful for the hotels, serving the community there before our needs, because obviously we're just a bunch of animals looking to have fun, and sometimes you got to put that aside for your fellow community, and this is definitely that situation. So have a good one, guys, and we'll see you next time. Kick the likes and stuff like the algorithm stuff, but if you want to. I'm just here to ramble about news and share your news. Anyways, have a good one, guys.